Thank you so much for joining us for this new teletown hall with one of my very special friends and guest, the state of California's state insurance commissioner. That was a long title, Ricardo.
I know. Just call me Ricardo. I mean, we've known each other for so long.
My dear friend, from when I was in the, when I started the assembly, he was then Senator Ricardo Lara, and was a great help, not only to me personally, but the help that he provided helped the entire Inland Empire. I want to thank all of you for joining us for this important and necessary Zoom. It's discussing insurance issues and available resources for small businesses during COVID-19 and during this pandemic and emergency. With many businesses and community members experiencing tremendous economic loss, it's important for you to have up-to-date information of services and resources. My dear friend, California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara is the 8th elected insurance commissioner for the state of California. As a leader of the nation's largest state consumer protection agency, he is charged with protecting California consumers. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he has been busier than ever, and we're going to hear a lot about that. The commissioner has taken action to protect consumers, workers, and businesses, among other actions. I want to share just a few of those. On Monday, April 13th, the insurance commissioner ordered insurance companies to return a percentage of premiums to businesses and drivers affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So when you got your credit, I think you can thank the commissioner for that. On Tuesday, April 14th, he required companies to comply with their contracts in California law by fairly investigating all businesses and all of their interruption claims caused by COVID-19, just as they would any other disaster. While businesses have encountered problems in the past following wildfires or other disasters, we've seen nothing on this scale, with thousands of businesses closed and drastically reduced payroll. Commissioner Lara is here today to provide resources and answer your questions. Good afternoon, Commissioner Ricardo Lara. Ricardo, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. It's great to be here. And every time I see you, it just brings back so many great memories of my days in the Inland Empire, being a staffer for Assembly member, then Senator Nel Soto, and seeing all the amazing things that you're doing, Senator Connie Leiva's doing out in the IE. It's so great, and I love it. It's a special place in my heart. I grew up politically out there fighting the good fight, and so to see everything you're doing definitely is heartwarming. I want to thank you for your invitation, and I'm happy to join you all today to talk about the resources for our small businesses and our business community and out in the Inland Empire. Along with COVID-19 and the stay-at-home orders, we all have been witnessing our state and nation really reckon with another challenge in the recent weeks, the reoccurring injustice of police brutality that has caused so much pain and anguish in our African-American community for generations. And we're all heartbroken with what's going on. And I know Assemblywoman Eloise Reyes and I have had many conversations of how we continue to keep our African-American community thriving and protected in the Inland Empire. So, one way that the Department of Insurance is supporting our fellow Californians during this time is by ensuring accurate and timely information and services when it comes to the insurance needs of our communities. My immediate focus is making sure that the insurance industry is prepared to handle claims to help our businesses recover as quickly as possible, whether it's from COVID or from possible looting or violence. I have been in contact with our insurance industry, and so far I'm not hearing about any problems with businesses accessing their benefits when it comes to looting and some of the violent behavior that we unfortunately have been seeing. We're going to continue to monitor that situation and keep everybody up to date. Our community outreach team and consumer services team has already begun reaching out to affected communities, lending our support, and have prepared a helpful fact sheet about insurance resources following civil unrest. That's on our website at insurance.ca.gov. And we'll make sure we make that available to your district and capital office to let businesses know how they can and how what should they be looking out for in terms of their insurance coverage available to them. You know, as we continue through this unprecedented COVID-19 emergency, we have a lot of work to do to assist businesses and their workers. So we've seen unprecedented job losses across the state, including in San Bernardino County. And at my direction, as you pointed out, Assemblywoman, the Department of Insurance has taken a number of steps to help our businesses. For example, ordering insurance companies to return a portion of premiums to businesses and drivers affected by the COVID-19 pandemic from March through June, and any subsequent months where the stay-at-home orders result in reduced accidents and losses. And I'll be addressing more about that in our questions. I know we've got several questions about this issue. The other big issue that we've been hearing about is the issues regarding complaints regarding business interruption insurance. In response to numerous of complaints that we've been hearing from your Assemblywoman Reyes's office and from public officials, I issued a notice requiring insurance companies to comply with their contracts and California law by fairly investigating every single business interruption claim caused by COVID-19. By the way, just as they would have to do with any disaster, whether it's a fire, earthquake, or flood, my department will be watching to make sure that everyone gets a fair review of their claim. The other thing that I wanted to briefly touch upon, unfortunately, California continues to be a zeroed-in target for insurance fraud. I want to urge all businesses to be on the lookout for fraud and insurance scams. Unfortunately, during these times, this is when we see businesses being targeted for fraud and report any suspicious activity to the Department of Insurance. Many people don't know we have over 300 sworn investigators and enforcement personnel throughout 9 regional offices in California, including our office in Rancho Cucamonga that is responsible for San Bernardino County. I'd like to tell businesses to be on alert for those offering bogus workers' compensation policies, to verify the legitimacy of the selling agent and the policy being offered, verify the agent's license on our website, and contact the insurance company directly to verify those policies. We urge all businesses to be on the lookout for fraudulent workers' compensation claims. You know, we unfortunately see this time and time again, especially for our monolingual speaking immigrant business owners that tend to be targeted as well for fraud. So we encourage you to report any suspect insurance scams or fraud by calling our department at 1-800-927-4357 or through our website. You can send us an email at insurance.ca.gov. They can also reach us. You can reach us for any questions. I also want to say, you know, we continue to provide essential services for our California consumers. The majority of our staff have moved to telework from home, but we are available via phone at the 1-800 number again that I'll give you. It's 1-800-927-4357 or through our website. We know insurance can be complicated, and we are here to help guide you through the process. It's even complicated for me, your insurance commissioner. So we want to give you an opportunity to help you review your policy, help you understand, especially as we're entering fire season now. If you have absolutely any questions regarding your homeowner's policy or business policy, we have insurance experts ready to help and answer questions in multiple languages. So whatever language you feel comfortable in speaking. So I look forward again to answering your questions, and thank you for inviting me today.
We really are so excited to have you with us, Ricardo. I wanted to, before I tell you a little bit about our next guest, I do want to share with those who have joined us that you're all on mute. We did receive, as you've mentioned, a number of questions from the 47th Assembly District. And you already know this, but I wanted to share it. It includes San Bernardino, Fontana, Rialto, Colton, Grand Terrace, and the unincorporated areas of Muscoy and Bloomington. I'm always excited about being able to provide these opportunities and resources to our community. Now, what we did do is that we do have a chat box. So if you do have a question, you can certainly provide it there. We probably won't have time to answer the questions. We have received most of them already, but the commissioner and his staff have already advised that they will get the answers to you as soon as possible. And you already have the phone number, and you also have the email address to contact them. And in the chat box, I would also want to encourage all of you who have joined us just to put on there your name and the organization you're with, or if you're a small business, the name of your business. We'd like to know who's joining us. My team, as I've mentioned, has collected a number of questions, and we're going to be going over those briefly. But now let me introduce to you another dear friend who has been working so hard here in the Inland Empire. This is Mike Daniel. Mike is the regional director. Now I'm going to change your title, Mike. It says Orange County Inland Empire. I'm
Reverse that.
Empire, Orange County. From now on, when I introduce you, no more Orange County first. It's Inland Empire Orange County Small Business Development Center Network. And this particular organization assists aspiring entrepreneurs and current business owners throughout San Bernardino, Riverside, and Orange counties. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Assemblywoman, and thanks for having me. And thank you, Insurance Commissioner, as well for being here. I've heard you speak before, and you always give amazing information that's vital right now. And thank you. And just so you know where our name came from, we're actually funded by the SBA, so they give us our name. So that's why it's Orange County first, because that's what they determined. But we'll call it Inland Empire first.
Mike, from now on, it's going to be Inland Empire first, just so that we're clear.
You
right?
got it. No,
yes.
I'm with you. So a lot of people have never heard of what our group is, but the Inland Empire Orange County Small Business Development Center Network, we are a federally funded program, but we are not federal government. Our program, we're about 100 consultants that work out of 8 different centers, Cal State San Bernardino, UC Riverside, the County of Riverside. We're spread all throughout Inland Empire, really to help your business right now survive and recover. We are all business owners ourselves. Like I said, I own a couple Rocky Mountain chocolate factories. And we're going through the same situations. Our job is to help you, whether it's capital that you're looking for in your business or need in your business, whether it's understanding employees and what to do with them. It's kind of that survival plan and then a recovery plan as we move into the future. That is our role. And we help you one-on-one. And the great part about our program is, we're funded by the federal government. We also get a lot of funding from the state of California and from our hosts like Cal State San Bernardino, University of California, Riverside, put money into it so that it doesn't cost you anything to use our service. It is completely free to you, the end user, but we help people with economic injury disaster loan, the Paycheck Protection Program, understanding what it is. For a lot of you guys, people that have applied for it, you might not know where you stand in the system, right? And so technically, or roughly, there's about 5 million people that have applied for EIDL or EIDL or economic injury disaster loan, whatever name you know it by. And they're getting through about 1,000 an hour, so take 1,000 an hour, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. It's going to take them a few months to get through that. We can help you figure out where you are in that system. If you've been denied, we have a lot of people that have been denied economic injury disaster loan because they transposed a number, right? So you might have put your social security number and maybe it was supposed to be 30 and you put 03. You immediately get kicked out of the system and are denied. We can help you go back, figure out what the problem was and see if you can reapply. That is a great opportunity for your business long-term, right? It's 3.75% for 30 years. It is a great opportunity for businesses to really, like I said, survive and recover long-term. And then there's the Paycheck Protection Program, which everybody's trying to figure out what it is. Some of you have it and don't know what to do with it. Some of you applied for it and didn't get it, or some of you applied for it and don't know whether or not to take it. We can help walk you through one-on-one to figure out, is it right for you? The requirements have changed. It's gone from 75% of payroll and 25% of utilities and rent and other things to 60-40, right? So maybe you didn't apply earlier, but now is the right time. Or maybe you bank at a large bank and you got denied from that large bank and you didn't look elsewhere. You have a great resource in your neighborhood in Grand Terrace, AMPAC CDC, who does the Paycheck Protection Program and still has money available. there's roughly $100 billion still left in that pool for people to try. And if going to a lender doesn't work, there's PayPal that's directly online. We've helped a lot of people that way. If you're an independent contractor, you're incorporated, whatever you are, this might be a great opportunity for you. And then as we kind of move into EDD and figuring out how to deal with your employees that are, receiving unemployment insurance and possibly pandemic unemployment assistance that don't want to come back to work for you, or they don't want to come back yet. How do I go find new employees, or how do I bring them back? And kind of deciphering all of those different things. And then, other funding opportunities that are available to you. The county of San Bernardino has a COVID compliant grant for $2,500. Now, that is not an enormous amount of money, but it's $2,500 to allow your business to come into compliancy with COVID-19. What does that mean? It means you might be able to purchase masks with it, or gloves, or sanitizer, or if you put up the plexiglass. I mean, I put them up in my stores. It's $2,000 per cash wrap in my store. So that's a lot of money, right? So $2,500, it helps, right? So any little bit can help, and all these things are available, and they keep coming through with different opportunities. And for those of you that maybe were denied by both the Paycheck Protection Program and the EIDL loan, the state of California has jumped into this through their state disaster guarantee program. And it's only for people that have been denied Paycheck Protection Program or EIDL, and it's up to $50,000. It is a loan, so it's prime plus 1%, so roughly about 4.5 to 4.75% right now. But those are all options for your business. And then ultimately, as you reopen, and I know that we're all struggling, right? As we opened, and now we're somewhat closed. Some of us are closed. We don't know what's going to happen in a week, in 2 weeks. You hear from everybody, well, we're going to close. No one knows where we're at. So how do you build a recovery plan? How do you start to utilize technology in your business? I mean, for me, I had to figure out a way to take cashless transactions, right? So how do I get that technology so that I can take that little scanner so that somebody could take their credit card and just scan it, right? So they don't have to touch anything. Or if you do take credit cards in your place of business, all credit card companies right now have, you can call them, so you can actually disable the signature on the pad, and if you call your credit card company, they'll disable it, and you are not liable if somebody calls back and says they didn't get their service. They're relinquishing that liability from you, which great opportunity. And then if you're like me, I'm definitely not. I'm in an older generation, so technology is always hard, and so I in my stores, I never wanted to put in DoorDash or Uber Eats. I just didn't understand it. And so our franchise has come, said they made a deal with DoorDash. And so they came in at a much lower price than like the 30% that they normally charge. And so I put it in, and I'm not making millions of dollars off of it, but I'm getting anywhere from 3 to 8 transactions a day. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a glimpse into my business, the average transaction on a DoorDash sale for me is $25. The average transaction in my store is $11. Right? So again, I'm not making millions of dollars, but it's helping me survive this. And it's a new way of reaching out to people, and I'm getting customers that wouldn't typically order from me. So there's just a lot of opportunity, and that's where we fit. We sit down with you and help you one-on-one really figure out a recovery plan in your business. And then one more thing, and I'll stop. I also want to point you to the state of California's business.ca.gov. Again, business.ca.gov. And you can go on and go to the COVID compliant piece, and you can go down per industry, and they'll give you the OSHA standards that you should be following for your industry. So if you're retail, restaurant, industrial, whatever it might be, all of the checkpoints that you need in your business, your attestation forms to make sure that you're safe and compliant, what you need to do with your employees as they come in for their shifts. It tells you everything that you need to do. The state of California through the governor's office has done a great job of putting all this together and giving you kind of that one, if there's one place I would point you to other than our website, would be to that website, because it has everybody on there. We're on there, the insurance commissioner's on there, the Assemblywoman's website's on there, everyone is on there. So it's a great one-stop resource to find everything. It could be a little daunting too, because there's so much on there, but great place to start. So just real quick, I'll give you our website and our number if you're interested in utilizing our service. It's 800-616-7232 or OCIEsmallbusiness.org. And like I said, we're funded by the state of California to offer you this service as you survive and recover. And so we want to help you any way we can through the Inland Empire, Orange County SBDC.
I sure appreciate that, Mike. I think we're getting the hang of this, the Inland Empire, Orange County. Inland Empire has to come first. Well, it's been clear that through this COVID-19 virus, businesses and people have been adversely affected. and the insurance markets have been adversely affected. And not only here in California, but throughout the nation. And because of COVID-19, there are pre-existing and recently established state and federal programs to help small businesses. In addition, our insurance commissioner has directed his department to respond to COVID-19 with a series of steps to protect public health and maintain a strong insurance market to serve consumers. I think it's really important as we now go through the questions that we remember that both these gentlemen that are joining us today are talking about services that are offered free of charge. These are free of charge. The insurance commissioner has been, as I mentioned at the beginning, a former senator, but not only that, he also has strong ties to the Inland Empire and has always been responsive whenever we need something here in the Inland Empire. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely love working with our insurance commissioner, knowing that in the end, the Inland Empire will be protected. So thank you both for those opening statements. Now I want to, let's go to the questions. All right, here's the first question. It says that they want to ask this question of the insurance commissioner. If I lost my job and currently am waiting for unemployment insurance benefits, can I put my insurance premium payment on hold? If so, for how long?
Great question. And thank you, Mike. You just reminded me how I need to order my chocolate, because chocolate gets you through the day, pandemic or no pandemic. You know, at the beginning of this pandemic, I requested insurance companies to give a minimum of 60-day grace period for policyholders, including businesses, to pay their premiums. I just felt, look, we're all in this together. Let's make sure people have some time. What I didn't want is people to lose their coverage during the pandemic. And so I made this request to ensure policies are not canceled for non-payment and of premium due to the virus, and to keep our public health safe. You know, although this is not a mandatory issue, I don't have the authority to mandate, but however, many insurance companies have honored that request and offered flexibility to consumers and businesses during this national emergency. I also extended my grace period request for an additional 60 days, but so that, because Californians, again, we are continuing to struggle. I know there's some questions in the Q&A part where people are asking, can we get some reprieve? If someone is having trouble paying their insurance premium, they should contact their insurance company and inquire about the grace period notice. And if you don't hear what you want to hear from your insurance company, call us directly. We can help call the insurance company with you and remind the insurance companies about this 60-day grace period notice that we extended. At the end of the day, we don't want people to lose their coverage. We don't want businesses to lose their coverage as they're struggling to not only keep their doors open, but then, you know, there's so much information from different jurisdictions coming at them. You know, they're like, do I close? Do I open? Can I hire people? You know, depending on what jurisdiction you're at. And so we're throwing our business owners so much information that at the very end, we want them at least to know that if they can't make their payments, they can ask for that grace period. It's critical. And if you have any problems with that, please give us a call and we can help navigate that with you.
Thank you so much. That is really important. And there were a number of questions, and some have come up on the chat box also about insurance premiums. Here's another question specifically about small businesses. It says, our small businesses have been working really hard in our community to build their business and bring employment opportunities to our region, yet they seem to be suffering the most during this pandemic. Can you explain how our small businesses can protect themselves during this crisis and even post-COVID-19? For either of you, if you would like, Insurance Commissioner or Mike.
Mike, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll definitely start. And, you know, I mean, you as a business owner have three people that you have to protect, right? You have to protect your employees, you have to protect your customers, and ultimately you have to protect yourself, right? So three different things. So I guess I would start with understanding what that means to protect your employees, right? And so whether you're going to bring them back into your small business, that's a big task, right? So if you're going to do that, you need to make sure that you're following the standards, which would be, temperature checks, making sure that they don't have signs of COVID-19 as they're coming in per shift, if they're shift oriented, or do they have the ability to work, to telecommute or work virtually? What are those options? If you're having people come into your business, how do you best protect your customers, right? So how do you at least set up social distancing cues if you have that ability? And, if you're like me, I have a 850 square foot store with very little, storefront, making sure that you're at least helping people try to figure out how to distance themselves, how they can touch less things, how you can have more touchless transactional pieces. That's really up to you to decide how to make that happen. But there are guidelines, and there are a lot of assistance for you. Like I said, business.ca.gov is a great resource to start with, where it really breaks down your customers, your employees, how to take care of each one, what you're mandated to do, what you don't have to do. So just to make sure all those things, and then I would also say, on the insurance side, which is a big deal, right? Making sure that you reach out to your insurance broker or your insurance company to say, am I covered if something were to happen, right? To make sure that we have enough coverage that if something happens, what do I do? But I think you need to have those conversations with your insurance companies before you reach out to, the insurance commissioner's office, just to make sure. Most of your insurance companies want to help you. They want to help you figure out, and they probably already have a lot of information to give you. You just have to be able to reach out to them.
Exactly. I would just say, just to echo what Mike is saying, the time is now. You want to make sure that you know exactly what your insurance product is, what your coverage limits are, what protections do you have, and what exclusions exist in your commercial policy. And I know it gives people, being your insurance commissioner now for a year and a half, I've seen the face of anxiety when I tell people, do you know what your coverage is? Do you know what type of product you have? And so I get it, but what I don't want you to do is then regret not knowing after an incident, a catastrophe happens. I'd rather have you prepared and be ready. And again, if you at any time are not satisfied with the answer of your insurance company, your agent, or your broker, give us a call and we can help verify that information for you. We have, again, insurance experts that will walk with you through your policy and help you better understand it and figure out what else do you need, what other things that you might have to consider given the uniqueness of your business. So we're here to help.
Very good. Thank you so much. Now here's, Commissioner, here's a few questions now specifically related to insurance. Here's one. My business is still not operating and is at risk of being shut down again due to the coronavirus. If this takes place, will there be a mandated reduction in my insurance premium?
Yes. So my bulletin directed all insurance companies to make an additional premium refund to all adversely impacted California policyholders as soon as possible and no later than 20 days from the date of my bulletin, which will be roughly around August 11th. So this directive applies, and I'm proud to say that I've gone above and beyond any other insurance commissioner and extended these refunds to our business community because, look, let's be real. Our businesses are struggling to keep their doors open, and they need at least some reprieve from their insurance payments that no longer reflect the risk that they're living. So many of you have heard the private passenger automobile, which is your individual car, but it also, the refunds and reimbursements also include commercial automobile, workers' compensation, commercial multi-peril, commercial liability, and medical malpractice for all those health professionals that may have their own private practice and are limiting the surgeries or care they're giving. So again, it's recognizing the unique nature of each insurer's policy holder and their book of business. And also looking at the insurance coverage offered, we directed each insurance company to propose the best way for them to immediately give those premiums refunds back to policyholders. And my department will validate these rebates to make sure that they accurately reflect the reduced risk. I mean, we want to trust but verify, and make sure that you're not being shortchanged. That the product that you're paying for, if you've reduced that risk because we've asked you to close, you don't have the same amount of employees anymore, that reimbursement actually is statistically and verified so that you're not getting shortchanged. Many businesses are still experiencing reduced payrolls and reduced risks of loss. That is why I'm extending my order for premium relief for businesses to include June and beyond, as long as we're seeing the reduced risk. And in addition, I issued emergency regulations regarding workers' compensation insurance that are consistent with my order, which is to reduce those payments and reduce those premiums, because businesses are not having the same amount of workers and the same amount of risk because you have less people entering your facilities. So we want to make sure that at least you're getting a partial refund to help you keep those doors open.
Something that I do want to note, sometimes we may think, well, this is common sense, but it takes a leader with courage to say, this is how it's going to be done. Yes, it's common sense, but no one is going to do this voluntarily. There has to be a directive. And I'm also a small business owner, and many of my other friends and colleagues who are small business owners appreciate that very much, because it does take courage to say, this is what we're going to do. This is why, but this is what we're going to do. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for that. Here's another question, also for you, Commissioner. I do not have medical insurance and I want to get tested. Do I have to pay to get tested and pay for the treatment of COVID-19?
Great question. One of my first actions, Assemblywoman, I did in response to the crisis was to eliminate cost sharing for COVID-19 testing. Governor Newsom and I directed insurance companies to eliminate copays, eliminate deductibles, and other costs related to the screening and testing for COVID-19, and any other costs related to COVID-19. And as we expand testing, I want to get people back to work, and so not charging them for the copay, the deductibles, any of the other things to take the exam is important. I also supported California's declaration of a special enrollment period to facilitate the ability for Californians who lost their job to enroll in the individual coverage through Covered California. I'm proud to say that as of June 5th, more than 155,000 consumers have signed up for coverage through Covered California since it launched its special enrollment period on March 20th. So, again, depending on your income, there may be a substantial subsidy that you can make, to make health insurance affordable during these difficult times. It's also important for Californians to remember that their income, if their income is substantially reduced, they may qualify for low cost or no cost Medi-Cal coverage. So, there's always options, but I'm very proud of the fact that Governor Newsom and I quickly moved to eliminate all those costs associated with COVID tests.
Thank you so much. That's really important. All of those details are extremely important, especially when the income is limited. So
Right.
Thank you for that. But here's a community question for Mike Daniel. The federal government has just announced the reopening of the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, which lets businesses get direct government subsidies for payroll, rent, and other costs. Small businesses have until August 8th, 2020 to apply for assistance. After August 8th, and with the continued rise in COVID cases, is the federal government going to provide more assistance to small businesses?
Yeah, so I can speak to the front half of that. I'm not an elected official to weigh in on the second part. But my suggestion is, if you haven't applied for a Paycheck Protection Program, you need to sit down and figure out if it's right for your business, right? It's not right for everybody, but it is a great opportunity for a forgivable loan for a lot of people. It also turns into a loan at 1%, which is also an amazing rate. So maybe it could be used for that as well. But you have to sit down and figure out, is this right for me right now? And yeah, we're hearing a lot of back and forth between, another round of Paycheck Protection Program or a whole third type of program outside of economic injury disaster loan and Paycheck Protection Program. Nobody knows yet. I think, we'll see sometime in August, is my guess as to what's going to happen. But there is, like I said, the Paycheck Protection Program came out real fast. It was built in a week, right? And it came out, seemed to go to a lot of businesses that, exhausted a whole lot of that funding at really high rates. The second round came out and we saw it go to businesses, Main Street businesses, the ones that needed $10, $20, $30,000. And we saw it successfully go into a lot of people's hands, but we've also seen it not go into a lot of people's hands. And unfortunately, it's also undersubscribed. There's $100 billion left in there. And that's why they've extended it for another month. And I think part of it is, businesses that have either they're an independent contractor and just themselves, or they have a couple of employees. It could be daunting, right? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to figure out how to put the right things in this category, That's why we exist, to help you figure out what that is, right? So if this is even something that you're thinking about or would just like more information, let our team sit down with you and go through it with you to figure out if it's the right option for you so that you truly understand it. So many people have a half understanding of all these programs, and they don't, because there's no one place to go to get it all unless you go directly to the source. And we hope that, for all the federal programs, we are that source to come to give you the full option. And then you figure it out from there as to what makes the most sense for you.
This is probably our third town hall where we have included information regarding small businesses. And the questions at the beginning had a lot to do with how do we do it? How do we take advantage of this? And then the second one was, hey, you gave it to all the big corporations, and what about the rest of us? Then we've got a little bit more to help the smaller lenders and smaller businesses, but there's still so much more. But the fact that there's still $100 billion left in there, I think goes to the fact that so many people were also being told, forget it. We have people that are waiting. So you're not going to get approved because we have, thousands of people that applied and didn't get their money. The message today clearly is, look into this. This could be something that could be a benefit to your small business. If you qualify, as you said, you may have the entire loan or it'll be a 1% anywhere. So thank you so much for that. Commissioner, here's another question about workers' comp. How will COVID-19 affect workers' comp insurance for companies? I know you talked a little bit about this, but anything?
Yeah, no, workers' comp is a critical area where we get so many questions from our businesses, rightfully so. Workers' compensation insurers cannot exclude COVID-19 from their coverage, which is great. All workers affected by COVID-19 on the job are eligible for workers' compensation benefits, whether or not they are considered essential workers. This includes workers engaged in frontline occupations such as healthcare, emergency services, food production, sales, among other industries. Workers' compensation also, I have to say, is critical, applies to undocumented workers as well. In 2015, when I was in the Senate, I authored legislation that expanded protections for our undocumented workers in the event that they are injured on the job, even if their employer doesn't carry workers' compensation insurance as required by the law. So I issued that notice to insurance companies on April 6th to remind them that as insurance companies about these existing legal protections for our immigrant workers. Of course, we all saw Governor Newsom sign the executive order creating a presumption that a worker contracted COVID-19 while on the job if the worker is diagnosed with COVID-19 or test positive within 14 days of performing the labor or service at the place of work. The order applies to all workers, whether they're deemed essential. But I have to say, for our business owners, this is a rebuttable presumption. And a rebuttable presumption is meaning that our employers have a chance to prove that the illness was not work-related, right? It's not just an actual assumption that it happened at work. The presumption will stay in place until July, unless the governor extends the executive order. And it's going to really take some time to see what the COVID-19 impact is on the overall workers' compensation system. Businesses are closed or have drastically reduced payroll, as I said earlier. And so that is exactly why I ordered insurance companies to return a portion of the workers' compensation premiums to businesses. Again, I issued some emergency orders, like I said before, on workers' compensation regulation to make sure that it reflects that new lower risk. These new regulations will mandate insurance companies to recompute their premium charges for policyholders to reflect that reduced risk of loss, consistent with all the bulletins that I've put before in the past, and which will result in some savings, hopefully, to many policyholders as our businesses. So, lots to consider and look at in terms of workers' compensation, but we're trying to give you the reimbursement you need on your workers' compensation insurance, and also with these emergency regulations, hopefully lessen the cost throughout this pandemic.
Now, to access that, should they contact their carrier first, and then if they get no results, then they can call your office?
Absolutely. Contact your carrier. You should contact your carrier if you haven't received the reimbursement for your premiums. And the regulations just came out recently, so everybody should have the carrier should have them. If not, give us a call and we'll call your workers' compensation insurance provider together.
Wonderful, thank you. Well, here's a community question for Mike. It says, I am a small business owner and interested in expanding my business during this pandemic. Although I need assistance for equipment, I also need assistance to pay wages. Does the PPP allow for this type of use, or is it just to be used for making my company whole from from how we have been affected by COVID?
Yeah, so unfortunately with the Paycheck Protection Program, it does not allow you to take that money and expand into another location. It's meant for that single location. It's meant to, I mean, really the entire purpose of it was so that you could keep your employees and that they wouldn't go on unemployment. That was the initial intent. Think back when they started this, late March, early April was kind of when they were starting to put together this program. So it was really so that people would not be laid off. So you can't use it for that. But there are other loan programs out there that are available to you to grow, right? And so whether it be an SBA-backed loan, the state of California has their own loan programs. There are several different types of loan programs. And then also for people, and I know that this is a very different conversation, that are looking to purchase commercial property and operate at least 51% of that commercial property with their own business. There's something called an SBA 504 loan, which several lenders do it, in San Bernardino County, but that is currently at 2.5%. You come in with 10% down. So let me just give you a for example. If you're going to buy $1 million building and you're going to operate at least 51% of it, because that is the caveat, you have to do that for this loan program. You come in with 10%, so you come in with $100,000. The other $900,000, it will be at 2.5% for 25 years, and it's a fixed rate. I mean, that is unbelievable, right? But again, for many of us, that is not an option. But I say this just because there are so many different programs and so many different loan programs that maybe the PPP is not the right choice for you, but there are some options, and there are probably several options for you. So I'd love to talk with you about that individually.
So each of our small business owners can then come to you, tell you the circumstances of their business, and you would then look at whatever options are available for them.
Right, absolutely. We run something that, it's a play on words, but we call it the SBDC Finance Center, where we actually package a loan with you. And then we work with about 100 different lenders, where we use all of our consultants in that program are all, ex-bankers, underwriters, things like that. They call everybody that they know that they think would do a deal like that. And then they make that connection for you. And
again, you're federally funded, but you aren't a federal agency. You work for the people here.
Right. We work, most of the people in our Inland Empire Center work out of Cal State San Bernardino. They're Cal State San Bernardino employees.
Wonderful. Commissioner, here's another question for you. What is the department doing regarding business interruption insurance complaints? Can insurance agencies ignore business interruption complaints?
Great question. Again, another big issue.
Yes.
If business has business interruption coverage, but their insurance company is telling them that these losses are not covered due to an exclusion in their policy, we recommend that you file a formal claim with your insurance company and start creating that important paper trail. Insurance companies are legally required to fairly investigate claims and to formally respond back with their coverage decision and the reason for any denials that they may make, which is, well, it tends to be a little more complicated because many commercial policies have exclusions due to losses to contamination by virus or similar perils. This has been going on, by the way, since the swine flu, H1N1, bird flu, you name it. So they started excluding these, but some policies have them. And many policies also require that a loss be affected by a direct physical damage or a loss to the insured property that results from a cause covered by that exact policy. These conditions and exclusions do create hurdles to obtain coverage. However, we would need to see the entire policy as well as circumstances applicable to the loss event to know what conditions or exclusions may or may not exist in a particular business. We have helped some businesses, because our insurance experts go through the fine lines. We really look at what the insurance company is saying. We double check on your policy, and oftentimes we've been able to get coverage or get that claim paid if we find other things that can be used to be able to use to convince the insurance company to provide that claim for the business owner. But if a business hasn't filed a formal claim, it should do so immediately. If the business has filed a formal claim and the claim has been denied, we recommend that you file a request for assistance with my department, again, by calling us at 1-800-927-4357 or to our website at insurance.ca.gov. Well, it is true that many commercial policies have provisions that may exclude coverage for business interruption. Under the circumstances, our department will review the claim to ensure that the insurer is properly investigating your claim and follows all the laws and the provisions in your contract. So, even though if you've gotten a denial, let us go through that contract with you. Let us look at that letter that you received, and we can help look for other things that can possibly get you some of your claim paid.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's great information. Oftentimes, I know that from the business owners that contact us, they just don't know who to call or what to do. And that's why having the two of you here is so important.
And it's difficult, our business owners are having such a difficult time just keeping the doors open.
Yes.
Follow the county health rules, state rules, federal policies, that it just, some of them get discouraged when they get a negative, a denial of claim, and they're just like, I'm done, right? And so what we want them to know is, look, let us at least give us a shot to look through your policy, look at the letter, at least let us give it one more go so that we can try to get you, your claim paid.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, here's a question. This is a question for both of you. This is what the business owner says. Our liability insurance will not cover claims related to customers contracting COVID while engaging with our business. Our business needs certainty that we are not liable for just operating our business, especially when we are making sure we follow CDC recommendations to keep employees and customers safe. What advice or recommendation can you provide us while we operate in this volatile environment?
You want to give it a go, Mike, and then I can follow you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, on my end, but I'll give it a try. And I can't really talk to the point of your insurance company telling you that you can't have customers. And I think if the state has issued clearance for the county to say you can go to stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, then you've been given the proper protocol to reopen your business as long as you are following all of the guidelines. And I think that's where we want to make sure that the insurance company can't come back and say, well, you didn't do this or this. You need to make sure that you're following the guidelines. If you don't know what stage you're in, and I know that, you need to, one, understand that you are most likely, if you're on this webinar, you are a San Bernardino County business, right? So you need to follow the protocols from the county of San Bernardino. I know many of us watch our news and we get from the city of LA. And so we hear all these things from LA. That's not typically, that's not always the case for our businesses outside of LA and the county of LA. So making sure that you're following those guidelines, making sure that you are doing everything that you should and that you are able to open, because what you don't want to do is you're a stage 3 business and right now, let's just say it's only stage 2 is open. If you open, then my guess is yes, you will be liable for things. But yeah, I'll turn it over to you, Insurance Commissioner.
Yeah, our Department of Insurance is going to be watching closely to make sure that the insurance companies are giving you the maximum flexibility and as possible, and that they are fully and that they're fully abiding by their contract. So I understand the burden, as we keep saying, is being placed on our businesses as they attempt to reopen while keeping their employees and customers safe. It is not an understatement to say that lives are at stake here. So businesses should follow the governor's resiliency roadmap as well as local guidelines of what processes the businesses must follow that will go along towards helping California get us through this pandemic. But as businesses reopen, this is another good tip, is have that conversation with your agent or insurance company to get the guidance regarding how to safely return to business. Also to make sure your businesses have the right coverage in place. So you've got to have that conversation again with your agent or broker. And if the business is, if you're not satisfied with the information you're getting from your insurance company, again, give us a call. We can help you go through the local ordinances, the state ordinances, and then contact your insurance company to provide any additional protocols that you need to make sure that you're doing everything properly to safeguard your employees and your business, and to make sure that you have the appropriate coverage so you're fully protected.
Wonderful, thank you. Here's a question, it's a long question, but in essence what it's saying is that this particular person, since COVID-19, has gone down to 0 driving. They understood they were supposed to get a refund. There's been no reduction in their insurance premium. They said, I have not received any reduction. Are auto insurance agencies mandated to return some of that premium to their customers? So I know you talked about this, but maybe a little bit more on this.
Absolutely, yes, they are required to do this. I ordered premium refunds because, again, we've seen many people, the risk of accident or loss is much lower due to the statewide stay at home. And we are seeing fewer accidents or injuries on the road, falling business payrolls and receipts, as I said before, reduction in liability exposure due to temporary closures. And the premium reductions and refunds should reflect that. I have to say that, there's not going to be 100% refund of your premium, but the reduction should be tied to the change in the risk during the months Californians are asked to stay at home. And we've already seen a number of insurance companies announce these premium refunds and reductions. Again, if you have not received the premium relief in spite of the reductions or the risk under a policy, we are, strongly call your insurance company, but you can also call us, and we can make sure that that company is abiding by my order to give you the refund that you need and deserve.
Wonderful. Here's another, this one's for Mike. Are there any resources available to small churches in San Bernardino? I would imagine any church anywhere. Finances have been limited due to closing of the churches and COVID-19.
Yeah, so for nonprofits, that's definitely a tough one. We're a little outside of that. Unfortunately, for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and Paycheck Protection Program, you wouldn't qualify. I know that we just helped the County of Orange push out a program where nonprofits were allowed to apply. And I think what you're going to start to see are cities and the counties, they're receiving funding from different buckets, from the Treasury, whether it be directly to the county, and that's where you're seeing the COVID compliant grant for San Bernardino. You see $10,000 grants for Riverside County. You're starting to see some of those come out. We're starting to see cities get into this. Some are doing nonprofits, some are not. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of funding wrapped around the nonprofit world. And so unfortunately, that's a little outside of my skill set, but
Aren't they eligible for PPP?
501c3s and C19s are. Anybody else, and my guess is they're probably a 501c6 or something like that. They probably would not be.
All right. So just so that they know for sure what they're eligible for, who should they contact?
They can contact us directly and we can tell them
Perfect.
what, if they fit into a C3, C19, or if they're in another bucket.
Wonderful, thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner, here's a question for you. Because we'll assume this doesn't seem like an insurance question, but it's directed to, you've been such a champion. It's probably a small business coming into the community. Because you've been one of California's most effective environmental champions, I would like to know your position on creating public-private partnerships for landfills and taking them from waste to energy via recycling.
Yes, this is one of my big passions, turning trash into energy. You know, I wrote the Super Pollutant Reduction Act, recognizing methane as a super pollutant that is thought to be responsible for 20% of our current climate forcing and setting California goals to reduce these emissions by 40% by 2030, which by the way are the most ambitious in the world. And we work with so many of our dairies throughout the Inland Empire and in Chino in particular to make this happen. The key to this question is whether the air is coming out of the waste to energy plant can meet our air quality standards. Ultimately, it is up to clean air regulators and the legislature to determine if this is part of our energy future. But I think, look, there's so many jurisdictions around the world that are really working towards creating trash into energy and limiting the amount of exposure and pollutants that these factories are really innovating here, that we need to continue to push for these energies. You know, at a certain point, I think Stockholm was fueling their entire public sector bus fleet with this type of energy. And so we got to continue to help our businesses. We got to continue to help our environmental communities to really push for these technologies so that we can be a lot more creative. What we do with, you know, trash can become energy. And I'm glad that California has been leading the way. I'll tell you that there's several dairies up and down the state that are now, because of their own methane capture, are powering their entire dairy with the methane that they produce. So these are just perfect examples of what California needs to continue doing and continue to be a leader worldwide.
Thank you so much. We're out of time, but before we leave, I want to give you each, take 30 seconds, 45, take 47 seconds because that's my district. Some closing remarks, please.
Well, I just want to thank you again, Assemblywoman, for all the great work that you're doing to represent the IE and everything you're doing for us. I know these are insane times. I want you to make sure, first and foremost, you keep yourself safe because we need you healthy to continue to fight the good fight. And again, I'll just reiterate to your constituents, please, we're here to help you. We speak multiple languages. We're here to be a resource. I know it's frustrating. I could just imagine you trying to keep your doors open and trying to adhere to all these rules and regulations, but Mike and I really are here to be a resource for you. Again, give us a call at 1-800-927-4357, or if you don't want to talk, shoot us an email, that's fine. We won't take it personal, at insurance.ca.gov. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Mike?
Yeah, again, you know, same, you know, right along the same lines, you know, we're here to help you in whatever you need. You just might not know where to go to. You know, I think the great part about our program is that when you call us, you're going to get a live voice, right? You're going to talk to one of us and we're going to help you through, you know, whatever the situation is that you're in. But, you know, best ways to reach out to us, 800-616-7232. I also want to point you, if you go to our website, ociesmallbusiness.org, we do at 3 o'clock every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we do a breakdown of the Paycheck Protection Program forgiveness component. So if you're trying to figure out, how do I even do this? How do I get through this? We're walking you through line by line how to do that. If you want help on the EIDL loan or want to know where you are in the queue, every Monday we bring on somebody on that 3 o'clock call from the disaster team to talk about that and figuring out where you're at. Every Wednesday on that same call, we bring somebody on from a local human resources or HR company to talk about your employees, how to take care of them, how to work with the EDD. You know, so we're here to help you in whatever you need. And same thing, if you don't want to communicate with us by voice, you know, you can email us, you can do a lot of different things. So again, just reach out to us. We're here to help you.
Thank you so much. And to the two of you, thank you so much for being here. I love the Inland Empire and I love to be able to provide information to them. My community, every assembly member is going to say the same thing, but doesn't matter. I'm the one here. And I want you to know that I just believe that we have the absolute best people. They're hard workers. I've heard from many of our business owners. They're trying to keep their doors open. They're trying to keep their employees safe. They want their customers to come in, but they want the customers to be safe. So thank you so much for providing all of this information. To the two of you, thank you. And to the rest of you who have joined us, thank you so very much. We will be providing the video of this, the recording of this. We'll post it on our website and in social media, and we'll provide the phone numbers and the emails for both Mike Daniel from the Inland Empire, Orange County Small Business. Okay, whatever. I just lost my note, Mike. I'm so sorry. And to my dear friend, our insurance commissioner for the state of California, Ricardo Lara. Thank you both so much. To everybody else, have a wonderful day. Thank you.